Your dog has been avoiding you. Maybe it started small. They stopped coming when you called, or they moved to another room when you walked in. Maybe they used to sleep next to you, and now they won't even make eye contact. And the worst part? You have no idea what you did wrong. You've been kind. You've been loving. You've done everything right. So why does it feel like your dog is suddenly afraid of you? Here's the thing. Most dog owners in this situation do the same thing. They Google it. They read articles that say things like, your dog might be sick, or maybe they smell something on you. And sure, those things can happen. But in the majority of cases, the real reason your dog is pulling away from you is something much deeper, something that most dog owners never even consider. And honestly, once you understand it, it's going to change the way you see your relationship with your dog forever. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is not what you'll find in a typical pet care article. We're going deep into dog psychology today, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to look at your dog and yourself completely differently. Let's start at the beginning. Dogs are not people. I know that sounds obvious, but most of us unconsciously treat our dogs like small furry humans. We assume they understand our intentions. We assume they know we love them. We assume that because we feel a certain way, they must feel it too. And that assumption, that one simple, innocent assumption, is the root of almost every relationship problem between a dog and their owner. Your dog lives in a completely different world than you do. Not physically, obviously. You share the same couch, the same house, the same meals. But mentally, emotionally, psychologically, your dog is operating on an entirely different system. They don't experience the world through words or logic. They experience it through energy, body, language, patterns, and consistency. And when something in your energy or your behavior shifts, even slightly, your dog notices it immediately, way before you do. Think about that for a second. Your dog has been watching you every single day. They've learned your routines, your moods, your posture, your breathing patterns. They know the sound of your footsteps. They know the difference between the way you walk when you're happy and the way you walk when you're stressed. They know all of this without you ever telling them a single word. So when you walk into a room and your dog suddenly gets up and walks out, they're not doing it randomly. They're responding to something real, something specific, and that something is coming from you. But here's where it gets interesting and a little uncomfortable. The most common reason dogs start avoiding their owners is not aggression. It's not abuse. It's not even obvious mistreatment. It's something called emotional flooding. And most dog owners are doing it every single day without realizing it. Emotional flooding is when a dog becomes so overwhelmed by the emotional energy of the person they're with that their nervous system goes into a kind of protective shutdown. And this can happen from love, from too much love. I know that sounds strange, but stay with me. Picture this. You come home after a long, exhausting day. You've been thinking about your dog all day. You miss them. The moment you open the door, you see that tail wagging and your whole body just lights up. You get loud, you get excited, you rush toward them, grabbing their face, kissing their head, picking them up, squeezing them tight. And you feel this rush of pure joy because you love this dog more than almost anything in the world. But here's what your dog is experiencing in that moment. A large creature, much bigger than them, is approaching fast with intense, unpredictable energy. The voice is loud. The movements are sudden. The physical contact is overwhelming and impossible to escape, even if that creature is you. Even if that creature loves them more than anything. Their nervous system doesn't always distinguish between intense, happy energy and intense, threatening energy. What it registers is, this is a lot. This is too much. I need to find a way out of this. And if this happens enough, every day, multiple times a day, Your dog starts to associate your presence with that overwhelmed, flooded feeling. And so they start to drift away, slowly, not dramatically, just a little more space here, a little less eye contact there, moving to another room a bit more often. And you notice it, and it hurts, and you try harder to connect. You reach for them more. You become more enthusiastic, and the cycle gets worse. This is not your fault. Nobody teaches us this. We're raised to show love loudly. Loudly is human, but dogs need something different. Now here's where most dog psychology videos stop. They say, calm down when you greet your dog, and they leave it there. But that's not the real reason this becomes such a deep, lasting behavioral shift. There's a layer underneath this that almost nobody talks about. And this layer is what makes the difference between a dog who occasionally seems a little distant and a dog who completely shuts down emotionally around their owner. It comes down to trust, specifically, a very particular kind of trust that only dogs can feel, and most humans never even know they're destroying. Dogs are pack animals. And before you roll your eyes and say, we've moved past the whole pack theory thing, I want to clarify something. The modern understanding of dog psychology isn't really about dominance hierarchies or being the alpha. That's outdated. What we now understand is something much more nuanced. Dogs don't need a dominant leader. They need a stable one. They need consistency. They need to be able to predict what's coming. Because in the wild, unpredictability is dangerous. Unpredictability means the environment isn't safe. And when a dog can't predict how their owner is going to behave, not because the owner is aggressive, but because the owner is emotionally inconsistent, the dog's brain starts to treat that person as an unpredictable element in their environment, something to be cautious around, something to create distance from. Not out of fear exactly, out of self-preservation. Think about this in human terms. Imagine you had a friend who was amazing 90% of the time. Warm, loving, generous. But then 10% of the time, with no warning, no pattern, they'd become tense, short-tempered, or just emotionally erratic. Not mean, just unpredictable. How would you feel around that person? You'd probably still love them, but you'd feel a kind of low-level anxiety when you were with them. You'd never be fully relaxed. You'd be watching for the shift, ready to withdraw if things changed. That's exactly how your dog feels when you are emotionally inconsistent. And humans, by nature, are emotionally inconsistent. We have bad days. We have stress. We have grief and anger and anxiety that we carry with us through the front door every single evening. And we don't even realize we're bringing it in. But your dog already knows. The moment you walk through that door, they've already read your energy. They already know what kind of night it's going to be. And this is where things get really important. And this is the part that I really want you to understand deeply. Your emotional state doesn't just affect your dog in the moment. Over time, it literally rewires how your dog's brain maps your presence. This is called emotional conditioning, and it works the same way in dogs as it does in humans. If enough of your interactions with your dog carry an undercurrent of tension, stress, or unpredictable emotional energy, even with the best intentions, your dog's brain starts to tag your presence with that feeling. Not consciously, not deliberately, just automatically. The same way you might feel slightly anxious. Walking into a dentist's office even when you know you're just there for a checkup, the association is already wired in. And once that emotional map is created, your dog starts to avoid the feeling, which means they start to avoid you. Now here's a twist that I genuinely believe most dog owners are completely unprepared for, and it has nothing to do with how you act around your dog. It has everything to do with what's happening in your life outside of your relationship with your dog. Dogs are emotional mirrors. This is not just a nice saying. It's a neurological reality. Dogs have incredibly sensitive mirror neuron systems, the same type of neurons that allow humans to feel empathy. When you are anxious, Your dog's nervous system starts to mirror that anxiety. When you are depressed, your dog absorbs that weight. When you are going through a hard season in your life, a difficult relationship, job stress, financial pressure, grief, your dog is living inside that emotional field with you. All day, every day. And here's the tragic irony. A dog that's been emotionally burdened by absorbing their owner's stress over a long period of time often starts to look like they're the problem. They become withdrawn. They seem sad. They stop engaging. And the owner thinks, something is wrong with my dog. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they're depressed. And sometimes those things are true. And yes, you should always rule out medical causes, because pain and illness absolutely cause behavioral changes in dogs. But a lot of the time, the dog is not depressed. The dog is carrying you, and when you walk into the room, they feel that weight come with you, and they retreat, not because they don't love you, but because their system is overwhelmed. So what do you actually do about this? Because by now you might be sitting there feeling a mix of things. Maybe a little defensive, maybe a little heartbroken, maybe a little seen in a way you didn't expect from a video about your dog. And that's okay. That reaction, that's exactly what this video is for. The path back to your dog doesn't start with your dog. It starts with you. The very first thing, and this sounds almost embarrassingly simple, but it is profound, is to start practicing emotional regulation before you interact with your dog. Not for hours, not as some big dramatic ritual, just 60 seconds. Before you open your front door when you come home, pause. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Let your nervous system settle. Not because your dog needs you to perform calmness, but because genuine calmness is a completely different signal than performed calmness. Dogs know the difference instantly. Your breathing slows, your heart rate drops, your muscles release tension, and that entire physical shift is readable to your dog before you even touch them. When you do greet your dog, let them set the pace. Don't rush toward them. Don't reach out immediately. Crouch down, turn slightly sideways, which is non-threatening in dog body language, and let them come to you. When they approach, start with slow, gentle contact. Not their face, not their head. Side strokes, long, calm movements along their body. Match your energy to where they are, not where you want them to be. This alone, practiced consistently, can begin to rebuild the emotional safety map your dog has of you within a few weeks. But there's something even more powerful, and it's something people massively underestimate. It's the power of simply existing near your dog without wanting anything from them. No petting, no interaction, no training, just being in the same room, reading a book, working on your laptop, sitting on the floor nearby while your dog does whatever they want. This is called parallel presence, and it is one of the most therapeutic things you can offer an anxious or withdrawn dog. It communicates, in a language they actually understand, that your presence doesn't always mean demand. Doesn't always mean stimulation. Doesn't always mean they need to perform or respond or manage your emotions. It just means safety. You are safe. Being near you is safe. And over time, gradually, beautifully, your dog will start to choose to be near you. Again, not because you asked, not because you reached for them, but because being next to you feels like rest. There's one more thing I want to address before we close, because I think it's the most important thing of all, and it's the realization that I promised you at the beginning of this video. We spend so much time trying to understand our dogs, reading their behavior, Googling their symptoms, wondering what's going on inside their heads. And that's a beautiful instinct. It means you care, deeply. But the question that almost no one asks, the question that actually unlocks everything, is this. What is my dog trying to tell me about myself? Because your dog's behavior is not just information about your dog. It's information about your relationship. And your relationship is not just about what you do for your dog. It's about who you are when you're with your dog. The energy you bring, the consistency you offer, the emotional safety you create, or don't create. When your dog pulls away, they are not rejecting you. They are giving you the most honest feedback you will ever receive. Feedback that no human in your life might be willing or able to give you. They are saying, something needs to shift. Something in our connection needs attention. And they're saying it not with words, not with judgment, not with resentment, just with space, just with distance. And if you're willing to listen to that, really listen, what comes next is something extraordinary. A dog that chooses to come back to you, not out of habit, not out of dependency, but out of genuine, deep, freely chosen connection. And that is a completely different thing than having a dog that stays close because they've never been given the space to leave. That is a bond built on trust, on understanding, on the kind of love that actually speaks your dog's language. And once you experience that kind of connection with your dog, once you feel what it's like to have your dog press up against you not because they need something, but because being next to you is the safest place in their world, you will never go back to the way things were. So if your dog has been pulling away from you, I want you to resist the urge to fix them. Don't try to train the distance out of them. Don't try to love bomb them back to you. Instead, do something quieter. Sit in the same room. Breathe slowly. Let them come. And in the meantime, ask yourself honestly, what have I been carrying lately that my dog might be carrying too? That question, and your honest answer to it, is where your dog's healing begins. If this video opened something up for you, if it made you see your dog or yourself a little differently, then you're exactly the kind of person this channel exists for. Share this with someone who loves their dog and can't figure out why something feels off. And if you want to keep going deeper into real dog psychology, the kind that actually changes your relationship, not just your training routine, then stick around, because there's a lot more where this came from.